The United States will be facing Jamaica this November in the CONCACAF Nations League quarterfinals, which will be Mauricio Pochettino's very first competitive camp in charge of the national team. The first game will be played November 14th in Jamaica, and then the second one will be played November 18th in the United States of America. Many American players are back from injury when compared to the previous camp in October, and a few are still questionable. Others might also just get cut from simply underperforming last camp. With that said, who will make it to Pochettino's US men's national team November roster? Today, we're going to talk about that. Hello. If you are new here, I am Filippo and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. Today we have another US men's national team roster prediction video that I always get every single player right. No exceptions. No, seriously. When am I ever wrong? But before we start, here are a few things that you must know. MLS will be during the playoffs, but they will stop for the international break. I don't really expect many MLS players to make the roster, but a few of them will. I just want to make that clear that the playoffs will not be a reason for any of them to be absent. So if they're not there, it's simply because they're not good enough at the moment. Now, these two games with Jamaica are competitive games. It's actually a knockout round, right? A two-leg knockout round. So I fully expect Pochettino to bring the best players available, cut any load management for these games or rotation, which is a different approach from what he had last camp. But it kind of made sense last camp, right? Because we played two friendlies. Now, these are competitive games, so you gotta cut the crap. Go for the results, go for the wins, beat Jamaica away, because we were told that it's nearly impossible to beat mediocre CONCACAF competition away. So go away and beat Jamaica, then beat them again in the United States, right? And when I say beat Jamaica, it's totally in a non-xenophobic way. I mean like a soccer game. And understand that for the October camp, he brought a 25-man roster. However, for this one, he can only register 23 players for this round of the Nations League. I am going to assume, for the sake of this video, that it's going to be a 23-man roster. Sure, he could bring 24 and only register 23 because he might want to give a look up close from a player here and there, maybe even a 25-man roster. But again, for the sake of this video, I'm going to go with 23. And we're also recording this on Wednesday, October 30th. Keep that in mind. If anyone gets injured or magically gets healthy after this day, there is no way for me to know, and it could affect the predictions in this video. I can't see the future. I can't look into the future. I'm not the US men's national team Nostradamus. I'm known as the USMNT, what's his name again? Gandhi. Yeah, that's my new nickname, USMNT Gandhi. Now, before we start, don't forget to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. I truly appreciate all the support that you give us. And let us know in the comment section your thoughts on who will make it, or who will be the biggest snub of the US men's national team November roster, if there will be any of them. Roll the intro. Okay, let's start with the goalkeepers, and I believe Mauricio Pochettino will bring 3 of them. And right now, this is our weakest position. It really is. Even though in the past it used to be our strength, right now the goalkeeping position is quite literally the weakest one we have. Like, if the goalkeeper position of the US men's national team was a part of Achilles' body, it would be his heel. And if it was a part of maybe Logan Paul's body, it would be his brain. You get the point? So Matt Turner will likely be there. He started both games last camp with Pochettino in charge, and he's probably going to be the starter once again. So Turner from Crystal Palace will be there. The number 2 right now is likely the 23-year-old goalkeeper from the Columbus Crew, Patrick Schulte. I fully expect him to be there. Now the third goalkeeper, that is a problem, because they all kind of suck, right? Ethan Horvath has been benched in the 2nd division of England, playing for Cardiff City, right? A team from Wales, the country. And then you have Gaga Sonina, which would be one of the prospects, right? One of the hot prospects from the United States. Well, it seems like in the past weekend that he has been benched in the 3rd division of England. Of course, that is still to be determined. Let's see if he's still benched this following weekend. But even so, Sonina has not been good in the 3rd division of England, and he also wasn't good in Belgium. Let's cut the crap there. He was not good in Belgium. He was at best mediocre. The other goalkeeper is probably Zach Steffen, that he called in last camp and then got injured. One can argue that maybe Matt Freese has been better than Zach Steffen in MLS this season. Honestly, maybe even Brad Guzan has been better than Zach Steffen in MLS this season. Sure, the Colorado Rapids suck, there's that, and Zach Steffen is definitely not the problem with that team. You get the point, like the third goalkeeper just isn't very good. I don't know if it'll make a difference. I think Pochettino will bring Zach Steffen from the Colorado Rapids. So just to recap, Matt Turner from Crystal Palace, Patrick Schulte from the Columbus Crew, and Zach Steffen from the Colorado Rapids are the three goalkeepers I expect to see this camp. Holy mid. Actually, mid might be a bit generous. Next up, we have the fullbacks, and we got 4 of them, and this is where things start to get better. So for the fullbacks, we have 3 players that, in my personal opinion, are locks. Anthony Robinson from Fulham, a great left back, a tremendous left back that I don't really have to explain why he makes the roster. Joe Scally should also be a lock. He's been a consistent starter in the Bundesliga for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Very reliable defensively, and especially with no Serginho Dest that's currently injured, Joe Scally is most certainly a roster lock. And I actually think Marlon Fossey is also a lock for this roster. The right back that plays in Standard Liège in Belgium was rumored to actually start for the US men's national team last camp, but then he got injured. So it seems like Pochettino rates him and could give him a shot once again. Now the 4th fullback, I don't know, man. It's very likely a left back, right? Because we already have 2 right backs here. So maybe Christopher Lund from Palermo again. He's kind of meh. John Tolkien from the New York Red Bulls. He's also kind of meh. And then you have Caleb Wiley. That's a good prospect that plays for Strasbourg in France. But he currently has knee tendonitis. He's injured. So I guess I'm just going to have to go with Christopher Lund. I think they're going to call up Christopher Lund again by default. And hopefully he doesn't play. And I know that we have a German-American left back that is a backup at Eintracht Frankfurt. His name is Nathaniel Brown. He's currently 21, but I haven't really seen enough from him. He barely plays for them, so I doubt he makes it. I just want to mention that name because I know some people are going to bring it up. So just to recap, I think the 4 fullbacks will be Anthony Robinson, the left back from Fulham, Joe Scally, the right back from Borussia Mönchengladbach, Marlon Fossey, the right back from Standard Liège in Belgium, and then you have Christopher Lund just because of the lack of options, and he plays for Palermo in the 2nd division of Italy. Okay, now if you made it this far in the video, you probably already dropped a like. If you haven't, do it right now because it takes like a second and it's free. Let's talk about the center backs, and I believe he's going to bring 4 of them. And listen, we ain't getting rid of Tim Ream just yet. Unless some young center backs start to really up their game like Jalen Yu, Josh Winder, or we recruit the Japanese-American center back from Stuttgart, Henry Chase. So Tim Ream, in my opinion, will be there. Mark McKenzie has also been doing fine in France, and he has looked quite competent on the ball as a ball-playing defender, along with being far less error-prone when compared to previous seasons. He will probably be there as well. Cameron Carter-Vickers is back from his toe injury. Can we talk about that for a second once again? Like, Carter-Vickers is like always, I don't know, banging his toe against the bed. He always injures his toe. He's had like 5 to 6 toe not surgeries, but injuries over the past, what, like 2 to 3 seasons? Okay, but back to Cameron Toe Carter-Vickers here. He has worked with Pochettino before and was even complimented by Pochettino in the past when he was a much younger center back. I find it very likely that Carter-Vickers will make it to this roster. Lastly, Pochettino seemed actually last camp very frustrated with Miles Robinson, more specifically in the game against Mexico, you know, where Miles played. Walker Zimmerman also won't get called in. The last game he played was October 19th, and Nashville didn't make the MLS playoffs. He shouldn't be called in anyway, but Zimmerman won't be there. Miles shouldn't be there. And honestly, Miles and Zimmerman are not even the best American center backs in Major League Soccer. Also, as you may know, Chris Richards is currently injured, so I think the 4th center back here will be Austin Trusty from Celtic, a center back that I don't really rate, but again, lack of options. Ideally, you'd want Mark McKenzie, Carter-Vickers, Ream, and Chris Richards right now, or a young center back to emerge, or we recruit Henry Chase. But since Richards is not available, I think Austin Trusty will get called in. So just to recap, it'll likely be Mark McKenzie from Toulouse, Tim Ream from Charlotte FC, Austin Trusty, and Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic. Now we have the midfield, which in my opinion is the section of the field where the US men's national team has the most depth, the most quality. And you're going to notice that because I'm going to leave some very good players out of this roster, not because I don't rate them, but just because we have so many options for this section of the midfield. So why don't we start with the players that I believe are locks for this camp? And they are Weston McKennie. You know, he's been really good for Juventus lately. McKennie is a roster lock. He is arguably even our best midfielder right now. And I actually want to see Weston McKennie playing as a 10 this weekend. He's not going to be that playmaking 10, right? Like a Gio Reyna, for example, or how Tillman plays for PSV. But he is goal dangerous. He can combine. He can pick a pass. He gets goals. He gets assists. He can be a 10 if you want him to. Almost like a shadow striker at times, 10. I want to see that happen because Tillman has been, struggling with the U.S. men's national team. I can't stand watching Brenden Aaronson play at the 10 for the U.S. anymore, and Gio Reyna is not available. So maybe just, try Weston McKennie at the 10, high up the field. It might actually work. Another lock to me is Yunus Musah. I know Musah has been struggling lately and it feels like his development stagnated, but he's still a roster lock. Let's be real. Johnny Cardoso should also be a roster lock and get his very first Mauricio Pochettino U.S. men's national team camp. Tillman, even though he struggled again last camp, should be a roster lock. And Brenden Aaronson. That was listed as a midfielder, played very often as a midfielder last camp for Pochettino. And Pochettino seems to like Brenden Aaronson quite a bit. It doesn't mean I agree with it, but I do believe Brenden Aaronson is a roster lock for the November camp. So that's 5 out of the 7 midfielders that I believe will make it to this camp. We got 2 more to go. We know Gio Reyna's out for sure. He is injured and would be a lock if he was healthy. Luca De La Torre is not a lock. He can fight for a roster spot. However, he's injured, so he's out. Tyler Adams is an interesting one because he's back from injury. And when Tyler Adams is 100%, he is most certainly a roster lock. But he likely won't be cleared to play the full 90 minutes by then. And I doubt Mauricio Pochettino will bring Tyler Adams on a minutes restriction for 2 games against Jamaica. So I actually think Tyler Adams might not make the roster this time, which honestly, it might actually be the best for him right now. If he's not clear to play the full 90 minutes, let him stay in England. Continue to heal, continue to recover, continue to get stronger. The last thing we need is for Tyler Adams to get injured once again. So the realistic options to fill in those 2 spots are Aiden Morris, that kind of showed his limitations last camp, even though he's been okay for Middlesbrough. He was for the U.S. men's national team against Panama and Mexico. Leonard Maloney, that probably deserves a shot. He runs a lot, which is something Pochettino likes, and is willing to do the dirty work in the midfield. I don't think Pochettino was really happy with Morris and Busio at the double pivot last camp, so I think that Maloney might actually get a shot. I think Maloney might get called in. Maloney currently plays for Heidenheim in the Bundesliga. I do also believe that Busio will get left out this time. Another good player that's going to be left out, and this time in favor of Tanner Tessman. That's been starting to actually look a little bit good for Lyon in France. Now look, Paxton Aronson and Diego Luna could also be an option in the midfield. Luna even out wide if you want to, but I doubt any of them will make the roster this time around. There was even an interview floating around like 2 weeks ago with Diego Luna that he even said that US Soccer has not been in touch with him. And Paxton Aronson would essentially be battling for a spot with Malik Tillman or Brenden Aaronson. I don't think he's going to beat any of those guys right now. So just to recap, these are the 7 midfielders I believe Mauricio Pochettino will bring to the November roster. Weston McKennie from Juventus, Yunus Musah from AC Milan, Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis, Malik Tillman from PSV, Brenden Aaronson from Leeds United, Tanner Tessman from Lyon, and Leonard Maloney from Heidenheim. Do you remember the days where we used to call up Kelna Costa and even play him? Jackson Yule, Will Trapp, Sebastian Lletget? A lot has changed. Look at the players we left out. Look at the players we left out, and even guys that are injured like Gio Reyna, and we still have all that quality and depth in the midfield. As I said, it's the section of the field that is the strongest for the United States right now. Next up are the wingers, and since this is the 23-man roster, I think we're only going to bring 3 wingers. And for the wing, it's actually pretty easy to be honest. First and foremost, let's make it clear that Brenden Aaronson, Malik Tillman, and Yunus Musah, that were all listed in the midfield section, can play on the wing as well. Last camp, Yunus Musah even played mostly as a right winger. I'm not saying they're great options to play on the wing, but he can play there if needed. So that's why I only have 3 wingers listed, because those guys can play there as well. Christian Pulisic is a lock, and he is our best player. He's the greatest U.S. men's national team player of all time. Tim Weah is also a lock, and most likely a starter. He's been balling out for Juventus the past 2 games, scoring in back-to-back games. He's been really good playing on the wing. The other option, or option number 3, is between Haji Wright, Zendejas, and I don't know, some people even say Cole Campbell that started to get a few minutes here and there for Borussia Dortmund. But Campbell seems to be a player for the future. We still need to see him get more professional minutes. I don't think Cole Campbell should even get called in at the time of this recording, even though he seems very promising. Kevin Paredes would be another option, but he's currently injured. And I believe he's going to go with Haji Wright, most likely. And I was told that Mauricio Pochettino actually met with Luca Coleosho, the young winger that plays for Burnley in the EFL Championship and is currently provisionally cap tied to Italy. I don't really know how that meeting went, so I'd not count on Coleosho being there. That would require him filing a one-time switch, and there's no evidence that he'll do that. So I went through the options, and to me this one was very easy. It's probably going to be Christian Pulisic from Milan, Tim Weah from Juventus, and Haji Wright from Coventry. Last but not least, we have the center forwards. And as long as my calculations are not wrong, we've called up so far 21 players, which means we can call 2 more, which would be the 2 center forwards. Balogun is currently injured and expected to be out till late December. He was seen training a few days ago, and Monaco's coach did say that he is ahead of schedule. But let's be real, the roster's out next week, in a couple days. And he definitely won't be playing for Monaco before it's released. I would be shocked if our best center forward, Florin Balogun, makes it to the November roster. So Ricardo Pepi to me is a lock for this one. He scored off the bench against Jamaica last camp, which probably made Pochettino rate him a bit higher than Sargent, and he's been finding his mojo with PSV. He's probably the best finisher we have right now, and let's just be real, Pepe's probably a lock. Then there's option number 2, which is between Josh Sargent from Norwich and Brendan Vasquez from Monterrey. And even though Sargent disappointed last camp, while Brendan Vasquez actually looked competent off the bench against Mexico, I still think Sargent will get called in, and I'm actually fine with it. I think he deserves another chance. With that said, just to recap it very quick, I believe the 2 center forwards will be Ricardo Pepi from PSV and Josh Sargent from Norwich. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go if you made it this far in the video, and a random comment in the comment section to give us that nice little YouTube algorithm boost. I'll see you all on Monday for the US Men's National Team Abroad weekend recap. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.